Okay, so it's recording right now. And also thank you all again for so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And we would like to introduce our amazing speakers, which is Maria and also Letty for their time and the workshop.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for having us today. My name is Leticia. Pronouns she, her, hers. I'm a fourth year psychological science and education science double major.
And hi everyone, my name is Maria Quesada. I'm a third year psychological sciences and criminology double major, pronouns she, her, hers. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you once again for being here. We have a few questions for y'all. And the first one is, what is the UCI COACH program?
Okay.
Mariana, do you want to go first?
So COACH stands for Creating Options and Conquering Hurdles. And it was created quite a few years ago now by Mariko Adams, who used to work at the Counseling Center, and has now been taken over by Dr. Jessica Ortega for the past 9 years at the Counseling Center. And it's basically a motivational program that assists students in accomplishing their academic, personal, and professional goals. Yes, we work through the Counseling Center. We get direct training from the senior staff psychologist at the Counseling Center, which would be Dr. Ortega. And we just work as life coaches, working one-on-one with UCI students who either refer to our program or self-refer themselves to get our services. Anything you'd like to add, Letty?
No, I think you covered it all. The primary goal of COACH again is that students who are stressed or unmotivated, kind of a personal coach and an assistant there, and assistance and guidance through COACH. So yeah.
All right, thank you. What do you think is the best part of the COACH program in regards to its ability to help students?
Yeah, I can answer this one. I believe the best part is just seeing, the students' progress and seeing how, the work that gets put into this program has an output. We come and we see these students come in with a desire and a commitment to accomplish a goal with coaches, which kind of empowers them and makes them, vulnerable to come and ask for help through these peer programs. And then we see how they, must, and we train them to also put in the necessary work and able to reach those goals. And once they do reach those goals, it creates an accomplishment for them. And they also have, these resources to carry for themselves that will last for the rest of their life, or that they can also share to their peers. And then the coaching process involves 3 steps that we focus on with them. So we assess their needs at first. And then second on, we formulate an individual plan with them and specific to whatever they want to accomplish, with different tasks and timelines for them. And then the third step would be monitoring their progress until they have reached their goal. So it's a nice process, and it's nice to also see how, students come along, and some students, need our assistance in some of those steps.
Thank you. What advice would you give to other colleges looking to institute similar peer-to-peer counseling programs at their campuses?
I can go ahead and start with this one. I think for me, I would definitely advise them to really try to aim towards creating a program that's both student-led and student-focused. I think one of the main reasons why this program has been so successful and has been one of the older programs at the Counseling Center is because it's student-led, and it allows for the coaches themselves to really have the freedom to, of course, learn the skills, learn the training as a life coach, and follow that in a professional manner, but also learn how to integrate your own way of coaching. And it really helps you develop like a deep connection with your clients or the students that you're working with. And it also allows for you to kind of collaborate with the professional, which in this case is Dr. Ortega. And it really just maximizes the opportunity for us to create authentic and safe spaces. So I think that's the most important part, just keeping it very student-led and student-focused. And then also, I think it allows us as students to kind of, in a way that Dr. O has described it to me, is create a branch, kind of extend a branch out from the counseling center to students who may not feel comfortable reaching out directly for our services through the counseling center. So kind of working with a life coach may help some students kind of maybe realize that maybe they need additional help or feel more comfortable reaching out to a counselor at the counseling center. So I think it really just opens up a new world for many students who may not have done looked into otherwise without going through the coach program first.
What has your experience as a life coach been like?
So my experience as a life coach has been definitely a unique experience. I'd say my experience has been quite different from Maria's, as this program was kind of shifted to the online world this past year, which I think was crucial, and it was just necessary in terms of like mental health and like having students seek this assistance and having these resources available to them. Because many of them face different and challenging times during this pandemic. So I still feel like this has been, greatly impacted me as a student and as a coach. I think just learning different techniques on how to be able to help others, how to help myself, how to better communicate, how to better time manage, I think has always been something I wanted to work on for myself. And now that I have these tools available, I'm able to help others in my life and even through this program. So I'm grateful that my experience has been nice, and I have learned so much from my coaches, from my cohort, from their journeys and from their stories. So that's also been really nice to have, and to have heard and shared a space with them. Also, just like the empowerment and the confidence I have gained from working with the senior staff psychologist at the counseling center. That has been really meaningful and intentional, and I think it was still able to be such a powerful moment in this crazy time. So yeah.
I just want to echo what Letty is saying. I think it's a beautiful experience to be a part of. And like she said, my experience as a coach was a little different. I first started as a life coach in the program in the 2019-2020 school year. So part of it was in person. And so I got a taste for what it was to work in person, train in person, and even run the one-on-one sessions in person. And so, but then I was also part of kind of that awkward middle where we had to kind of shift everything within the week. And I think the beautiful part about it is that our coordinator, Dr. Ortega, just has such a great amount of love for the program. And I think if she didn't have that, I don't think it would have been possible. And I think just the love that she shares with the program, and that I shared and all the coaches share, have really made it possible to make the program, even if it's virtual, still kind of maintain the integrity of it and really help our students the best that we can. So now, through this past year, I've been a teaching assistant for the program, and seeing my students like Letty and Jenny and other students in my cohort kind of grow through the program, and kind of shifting my role from being a life coach to kind of being a mentor has been really cool. And so, yeah, forever grateful to have the students with such love and passion for helping others and working in the program.
Thank you both for sharing. So for the final question that we have prepared for y'all before we go to like an open Q&A session is, what is your favorite part about the coach program as a whole?
As a whole, I think, my favorite part has to be the impact that it has. I think the virtual setting has tested this in terms of like being able to reach out, our outreach, our recruitment of clients and all of that. But I think, with being able to help at least one student, I think our work is validated and it's deemed necessary in that space. Coming into this program, I wanted to help, reduce the mental health stigma. And I think that has been accomplished, at least with, my clients. And I think I feel good about this program and just being able to continue that, as Maria mentioned, like that legacy, and continue that to continue the branch off of mental health and just empowering others and helping them throughout like their undergrad education.
And for myself, again, I echo all of that. I think it really gives us the opportunity to kind of see within our clients the growth that they have, the confidence they gain. It's really amazing to be a part of that process and to know that you kind of worked on it together. And then, even within the class itself and our cohort, seeing, I think this year as a mentor, it's been really cool to see all my students kind of grow and start from when they started and seeing them now. It's really fulfilling, and it really just makes all the hard work and all the stressful times in class and times all that, it makes it worth it. And knowing that we're really making a difference, and sometimes we don't really realize it as coaches. We don't realize the amount of impact that we have actually had on our students, and I think that's the most important part, is the impact that we have on them. So definitely that's just been my overall favorite part of being part of Coach.
Thank you for sharing. So those are the questions we have prepared for y'all, but now we're gonna open like a open Q&A session. So feel free to add questions in the chat, or if you feel more comfortable private messaging either Jenny or myself, feel free to do so. We already have a question in the chat from Chloe that reads, what is your advice to give to other student mentors on campus on how to appropriately address a student mental health needs and concerns in a consultation with them?
I would say, I think the most effective way of approaching that, because mental health can be a very sensitive topic for many people to talk about and open up about. So really, I think just asking them how they're doing, like really, how are you doing? And even opening the door for them. You don't really need to be like, oh, you should go do this, but kind of making them know, like, hey, I heard of this program. I think it'll be really beneficial. Or, just work with them, be a support system. If they ask for help, be ready with those resources, be aware of those resources. I think that's just the most important part, because I think working on mental health is really a self-driven process. And I think whenever someone's ready, they'll be ready and they'll look for the help. And so just you being able to have those resources there for them and be a support system for them, I think is more than enough.
Definitely. I think adding on a little bit to what Maria said, being able to readily share those resources and knowing, I think most importantly, knowing our capabilities within ourselves, knowing what we have to offer as well. Like within myself, I'm not a professional, and if I knew that somebody needed professional help, I would refer them to that aspect of, counseling, whether that is, or, other peer programs. But it's also knowing and recognizing like signs of, need. And I think just like being able to recognize like somebody asking for help is kind of just putting themselves in a vulnerable space, and that they trust you so that you can help them and lead them the right way.
Thank you for sharing. Like, we have another question which reads, what lessons have you learned from Coach that you can take with into your daily lives beyond undergraduate?
I think a big kind of lesson or take that just I've taken from the program has really been, at least for me, my own professional development. Before Coach, I really didn't have much experience. I joined Coach as a second year. So kind of my first year was just kind of getting used to school and then, or UCI, and then jumping into the program, I think really helped me understand my own boundaries. What am I willing to put into after class, outside of class hours, and then even working with my clients, learning to set those boundaries. Because sometimes, of course, it's a vulnerable space to be working with them. So sometimes they'll come to you for many things. And again, like Letty said, you need to recognize when it's outside of your, scope of practice. It's outside of what you focus on, and learning when to recognize that and not feel pressure to kind of have to do things. So yeah, just learning my own boundaries, learning what I'm capable of. I've pushed myself to many limits in this class. I've done things that I never thought I'd be able to do and handle. So yeah, definitely, I think just moving on, I'm planning on pursuing PhD programs after I graduate. So I think that's something that I'll keep with me, is that I'm capable of doing a lot, but also recognizing when, you know what, I need a break or, you know, I need to take care of myself, which I feel like Dr. O has been very, very helpful with that process of learning to be kind to yourself. So yeah, that's what I've taken from it.
Yeah, some lessons I also have learned is just how to better communicate with people. And you know, this kind of helps in being in that helper role that I am in right now. And you know, I do also hope to pursue a counseling psychology career. So hopefully that I could take this to the future. But more than anything, I think it's also just communication and being able to understand how to better take care of yourself and communicate, like in communicating your needs and in communicating, you know, what others need from you. And in that, I think it just creates better relationships, you know, in your life. And it can help in the long term. So that's something that I'm taking away from this program.
Thank you all. And another question we have is, what is the most fulfilling part of being a coach professionally and emotionally?
Yeah, so the most fulfilling part professionally from this program, I'd say, is just being able to work with, you know, great people in person. I know that we would have worked with, you know, more of the counseling center staff, but since it wasn't in person, we worked very closely with Dr. Jessica Ortega, the coordinator, and also two interns at the counseling center. So it was just nice to hear like their wisdom, I think, since they are in, you know, PhD programs, and, you know, Dr. Ortega has been through all of like undergrad and, you know, grad school. So it's nice to just hear their wisdom and, you know, to kind of give that confidence to us as undergrads that we can also make it. That has been really fulfilling, like hearing their stories, and it's just very empowering. And emotionally, I think also just the clients, just seeing their progress from the beginning until now. It's nice to see that you were kind of like, you were a guide, you know, you guided them to doing this, but, you know, you recognize that they put in the work and that they, you know, took control of their journey. So you were there as a helper, but it's nice to see that they can recognize that they're able to overcome these things and accomplish their goals at the end of the day.
For me, I think professionally, again, working so closely with Dr. Jessica Ortega and the interns has been an amazing experience. I think really working in this program is what solidified my decision to want to pursue a, you know, doctorate in the future. Before, I didn't even think, it wasn't even in my vision of doing that. So I think that's mostly just kind of learning how to solidify what I want to do, learning my capabilities, and experimenting with different aspects of the counseling and coaching world, and learning that I really do love it. And then emotionally, I think one aspect about Coach that I really love is that we're so close. You know, Dr. Ortega makes it a priority to make sure that as coaches, as, you know, as a coordinator and as a teaching assistant and interns, that we all care for each other and we all listen to each other's stories. So we have, you know, quarterly retreats where that's really primarily the focus is to really emotionally connect with one another. And I don't think I've ever been part of a space that's been so supportive and so willing to listen and care about me than Coach. So I think that's what I've really loved. I look forward to our retreats and just talking and listening to music and really hearing each other's stories, and just, you know, outside of the academic world, that we're just people and that we have feelings, and that it's okay to kind of just connect with each other and love each other throughout this process.
Thank you. Another question we have is, how would you deal with the feeling of being emotionally drained after a conversation that required you to be empathetic?
For me, it can be tough. There will be times where that may come up. And again, like Letty mentioned before, you have to kind of know when to recognize when an emotionally heavy topic is maybe crossing the boundaries of what we're able to discuss with our clients. And so I've definitely been in a position where it kind of bounced on the line between what we practice and maybe what I should refer to the client to seek extra help for. But it can be tough, you know, because you have to kind of learn how to be that kind of sense of support and just really being there with them, listening to them, and really opening yourself up to what they're saying um, is really important. And I think after you really just kind of take a minute to process it, I think asking yourself, how did this impact me? How is it going to impact me? And what can I do to kind of help myself be okay with it, sit with it, and kind of move forward, because it's important. It can be emotionally draining to hear a lot of the topics that we go over, so especially because sometimes we can resonate with our clients, and that can be tough when you can resonate with what they're saying. I think that even helps even more sometimes because you're connecting in that way too. But definitely taking the time after to kind of check in with yourself, ask yourself, how am I feeling? How can I make myself feel better? And then how can I kind of move forward with the rest of my day?
Yeah, I think this is a great question because it does emphasize like that self-care component of what we need to do after the fact, before the fact, and preparing, you know, when having these conversations with our clients. One of the biggest things that I think that has helped me with this has been, you know, these supervision discussions I have with my coordinator, Dr. Ortega, and I'm able to kind of just deconstruct what was said, how I felt, you know, and how to move forward from it. Because I think that, you know, this is obviously a program that's pretty much on one. And I think being able to communicate these conversations then with our supervisor, who is, you know, a professional, is able to help us and give us those resources that we may need, and can help us, you know, create those next steps on what to do. And then also just remembering to practice that self-care, you know, if you had a long day or something else was planned that day, you know, maybe planning to kind of reschedule or like kind of resurface yourself and be able to, you know, give your all to the next person, but being also aware of those feelings, and not being able to not trying to diminish your feelings just for the purpose of helping, you know, being in a helper role is also very emotionally draining. But if you learn these ways on how to take care of yourself throughout the process, I think it's very useful.
Thank you for sharing that. And kind of to bounce off of that, how do y'all practice self-care while in this role?
Yeah, to add on to that, one of the biggest things that I've learned to do is just to kind of disconnect. I think from being in this virtual setting and transitioning everything to virtual school, I think just having some time to disconnect from everything, whether that is like technology and, you know, cell phone, social media, everything. And just being able to make that time for yourself and being present and enjoying your moment. I think that that's one of the biggest things that you have to do for yourself, for your sanity, for your self-care. And then also being able to come back, recharge and re-energize, and continuing to grasp onto that purpose that you have to, you know, accomplish within this role as a coach.
In addition to that, I think one of the most important things that Dr. Ortega has taught us is that you can't pour from an empty cup. So recognizing when you're in a space where, you know what, I just really can't give myself the way that I want to my students, to my class, or whatever the case may be. So I think for me, the number one way that I practice this being a teaching assistant is just recognizing, you know what, today I just, you know, maybe is it okay if I take a step back today? Or, you know, really communicating that with our coordinator is key. And I think that's really how you get through the program. Dr. Ortega is very, very open to open communication, talking to her, letting her know how you're feeling. She will understand. So just recognizing when you're in a space where, you know what, my cup is just not full today. I need to take a step back. I can be in class, maybe have my camera off, or, you know, kind of find a middle ground where you can still be present, but kind of take that time for yourself and recognize that you need to that space to kind of recharge. So yeah, that's kind of how I've practiced it, just communicating when I feel like I just need that space to kind of recharge.
Thank you for sharing. And one of the final questions we have is, sorry, let me find it in the chat. How do we get involved with UCI Coach? Is there a way students can apply? Is it for like the following year? Is it open? Is it closed? When do applications come out for UCI Coach?
So the applications for the coach program actually went out at the beginning of this past spring quarter. They closed, I want to say week 5. And so we're currently in an interview process. So for the 21-22 school year, unfortunately, the applications are closed, but you're definitely welcome to apply next year around the same time. I want to say early April is usually when the applications go out, if you're still have a few more years at UCI. But you can always get involved in the program by reaching out and either self-referring yourself and getting a coach. That's always open. Just go to the Counseling Center website and there should be either an email for you to reach out to or a form to fill out to inquire about how to get a life coach. That's always open to our students. Oh, and thank you, Letty, for posting that in the chat. So yeah.
I just added the coach program website. It's just a little bit more insight on what the program consists of and those involved. But I think this is really important to have as a resource for your peers and your friends as well. Referring somebody who is in need of a coach and maybe somebody that wants a little bit more help and guidance in accomplishing a goal or overcoming something. So it's nice to have as a tool to hey, there's something at the counseling center. You don't have to talk to a professional or an adult. You could talk to a peer, and it's on one-on-one, so it's very intimate. So if that's something that you or one of your friends might be interested in, it's nice to have.
I think that's like the last question like we have from the Q&A session. And I just want to thank you again, like for Maria and Letty to be here at our conference. It's just really an honor to hear y'all's journey. And being in the program myself too can really attest how amazing phenomena those human beings are. Like, okay, and thank you all for coming here. Like all the participants is virtual and we really appreciate your time. So yeah, I think we're gonna close off.
Thank you so much for having us, Cindy and Jenny, and everyone. Thank you for coming and asking questions. I hope this gave you guys more insight.
Thank you, everyone.
Jenny and Cindy, did you all need anything else from me and Maria? Any other questions or?
I think we're good, right, Jenny? Did you have anything to add on?
Probably not. Like I think we're gonna close the link soon just so the other meeting can start.
Okay.
Yeah, experiencing a lot of technical difficulty today. So
No.
all right,
Let's get
yeah.
better. Well,
Good
thank you
luck
for
with the
having
rest
us
of the
on.
conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having us.
being here.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Jenny, if I end meeting for all, will it stop the recording for you or should you stop the recording before?
Okay, that's my first time recording something, to be honest.